The second task on the TOEFL speaking section is the first of 3 integrated tasks. Integrated is different from independent, both on the speaking and the writing, in that integrated means it involves a combination of reading and or listening in addition to speaking or writing. This task happens to involve both reading and listening. So it's 30 seconds to prepare and 60 seconds to speak. It's also the only campus situation task. Campus situation means it involves a conversation between 2 people. Those 2 people will always be a man and a woman. That's so you can clearly distinguish between the 2 speakers because they have different genders. And because the test is so academic, one of those people will probably be a student. So it could be 2 students or a student and faculty or staff member. And unfortunately, yes, it takes place on a campus. Again, the entire exam sounds as though it were written for 18 to 19-year-olds who are preparing to leave home for the first time and go off to American University, where they will live in dorms on campus. However, in my experience, the vast majority of people who actually take the exam are already mature, professional, degreed adults with degrees from their home countries, who are already well established in their respective careers, and who just need a TOEFL score as evidence of their ability in English in order to get some kind of certification or degree or just to get a job. So the exam in its current form does not at all reflect the majority population of people who actually take it. The content of the exam sounds as though it has not been updated in years or maybe even decades. Why is that? Well, it remains the most commonly required test of American English, not only in America, but all over the world. So it doesn't change because it doesn't have to. It's making a lot of money. If you are one of those degreed professional adults who have to take the TOEFL, my apologies. I know this task can feel particularly infantilizing, but it's all we got, so we have to go with it. So let's talk about the content of the task. Reading comes first, and it's called the announcement. And it's some kind of plan, something the university wants to do, and it could be in the form of a letter to the editor of the school newspaper. After you read it, you hear the conversation between 2 people, and one of those people will have an opinion about the announcement. He or she will agree or disagree with the announcement, and that person will support the opinion with 2 reasons, 2 supporting points. So here you see the classic structure of main idea, which is the opinion or the position plus 2 supporting points. And I want to point out that the reading passage, the announcement, may hint at or suggest those 2 supporting points. So you already kind of have an idea of what's coming in the conversation. And the prompt may tell you who has the opinion, but it won't tell you what the opinion is. A couple things I want to point out about the prompt. It asks you to focus on the person with the opinion, not the other person. So you may not mention the other speaker at all. Also, it asks you to focus on the conversation, not on the announcement. Why is that? Well, number 1, listening is usually more difficult for most people than reading. Number 2, and more importantly, you're going to see the reading passage again. When you prepare and when you speak, you will see the announcement on the screen. So to talk about the reading when it's right in front of you is a stupid mistake. So I want you to focus on the person who has the opinion and focus on the conversation, not on the announcement. Let's talk about the outline or the structure for your response for this task. Again, I like to give my clients outlines for the speaking responses. And I know you may feel silly following an outline when you speak, but I do that because of the time. Again, your objective on speaking is not to be creative, but just to be clear. And on the integrated tasks, it is to demonstrate that you understood what you read and or heard. And I know your level of English is excellent, but if you speak freely without a structure, you risk rambling, which is to speak indirectly without making a point, and you risk not doing what the prompt asks you to do. So the outline for your response has 5 to 7 things in it, and each item is only 1 sentence. First, it's the thesis statement. A thesis statement is always 2 things. It's main idea plus supporting points. The main idea is the person's opinion. And if you're like most people, you have time for only an indirect thesis statement. So you're going to say something like the man or the woman agrees or disagrees with the announcement for 2 reasons, suggesting that there are supporting points, but not saying what they are. After you give a thesis statement, here you can summarize the reading. Most people have time for that, so in 1 sentence, summarize the announcement. The announcement states that the university plans to do this, and then you give the person's supporting points. Now, we usually illustrate supporting points with specific examples, details, and you may hear very specific examples or details in the conversation, and they may even come from the other speaker. But a lot of people don't have time to give examples or details, so it is okay to give only the supporting points. 1 reason that the man or the woman agrees or disagrees with the announcement is A. Another reason that the man or the woman agrees or disagrees with the announcement is B. After you give the supporting points, it's time for the conclusion, and a conclusion is always a restatement of the thesis statement. Use a transition in conclusion, in summary, to conclude, to summarize, to sum up. For those reasons, the man or the woman agrees or disagrees with the announcement. So that's an introduction to the second speaking task. To read more in detail, including an example prompt and example response with the outline, please visit my website. I include the information in the description. And for a private lesson with me, please also visit my website. That information too is in the description. I've worked online with people from all over the world, and I'd love to work with you. Take care.